It's Mark from Training Spark, and in this video we're going to show you how you can manage some of the default settings in LearnDash. Now what I mean by this is there are certain settings in LearnDash, like perhaps the default setting of an access mode for a course or a group, that you might find yourself changing every single time you create one. And that happens to us whenever we create a group. The access mode defaults to free, so we're having to click closed every time we create a new course or group. Now, LearnDash actually give you a way to manage this, but it's not something that's that easy to get access to. You do actually need access to control the server and upload changes to the wp-config file, which comes as part of WordPress. But I'll show you briefly how that is done. So WordPress have this area here called developers.learndash.com. It's intended for developers and goes into things like functions and hooks that developers can use to work with LearnDash and kind of integrate their own plugins and themes with it. But what we're going to look at here is the constant. So I'm going to tick that, and I'm just going to type in default. And what this will do is bring up a list of sort of default settings, things like default group order, default group order by, and just certain things that you can do within LearnDash that might help some of your workflow when creating new courses, for example, just to speed things up or tailor it to work in a certain way that works better for you. Now, the ones that affect these bits we'll see here. So LearnDash default course price type, and that affects this course price type here. And so I'll just open that one, and I'll put a link to this in the description of the video too. But on the previous page, there was also LearnDash default group price type. And if we look at one of these constants, we can see what it says: define LearnDash default group price type. And then what you can do is put in a value. And if you scroll down, it will show you what those values can be. So default is free, but you could change that to closed, pay now, or subscribe for groups, which would be these. And likewise with courses, we could have open, free, pay now, subscribe, or closed, which reflects these. So what I'm going to do is copy this line of code here. And what we need to be doing is looking at our web server and copying out a file here called wp-config.php and opening that in an editor. And this is intended within the WordPress install to handle certain things like this, definitions and settings that you want to add. And if you look at the code here, there's a bit that says for developers doing things, and it says here, that's all, stop editing, happy publishing. So in this bit here, you're generally intended to put your own things. So we can put in a new one here, define the LearnDash default course price type, and I'm just going to set that to closed. And you can edit this wp-config file in anything, like a notepad editor or an IDE like I'm using here, but it's just a text file that you can edit. And I'm going to do another one here, which is the group price type, which I'm also going to set to closed. Now once that's saved, I can upload that and overwrite the existing wp-config file. And if I load LearnDash now and create, I'll come off to show exactly how this works. I'm going to create a new course and a new group. And what we should find under the settings is that the default is now closed. And likewise with the group, if I head to settings, that is closed as well. So what we can do is now publish these changes, and it helps make our process of creating new courses and groups a bit easier because we're not having to change this every single time. So it's worth looking through these if there are any default settings that may be of use to you. Perhaps you're finding things like the order of groups is not how you'd want it to be. So you might find in here that there are some that you can use to change the way LearnDash works. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe to the Training Spark YouTube channel.